So on my way to here, I got pulled over. I was still in Missouri, so it was just an hour or two into my trip. And what happened was it was very, very windy. And with the fact that I've gotten the rear shock done, and so it plants a lot better, but I have not yet done the front shock, it tends to, well, front gets really squirrely when I get around trucks. So what I do when I pass a truck is I gas it. I just pin the throttle open, and the front's doing this, and I just pin the throttle open past the truck and shut the throttle again. Well, state trooper apparently saw me do this, and sure enough, he comes in behind me. By the time he comes in behind me, I'm going like 77 and a 70, so it's not like... He even said he could tell I was not speeding. So, long story short, he said, yeah, I realized I caught you in a pass. But he pulls over. The first thing he does when he walks up and goes, it says, I have never seen somebody with arrows on their back before like that. And I said, yeah, that's me. Arrows on my back. You know, what are you going to do? And he's like, do you do archery or something? Or not archery. He asked if I did, like, competitions if I was traveling. I was like, no. It's just a hobby. I just started, actually. And he was real friendly about it. And he's like, well, I realized I caught you when you were passing. I could tell as I was coming up to you, you know, in between trucks, your speed was dropping significantly. I just couldn't believe how fast you went from going 7 over to 20 over. It's like instantaneous. I'm like, yeah, bike's got some kick. And I explained the thing about it was really sketchy being next to the trucks. I just wanted to get it over with. And he said, I totally get that. I totally get that. He's like, well, I have to write you a ticket for something. He's like, I can knock it back to 10 over. I said, well, I really appreciate that. I really do. But I'm from Illinois, and Illinois, that's still like 15 points on my license. And he's like, okay. Because the speed limit this whole time is 70. He's like, well, okay. Well, but that doesn't affect you if you get a ticket in Missouri, does it? I'm like, actually, yeah. Illinois is one of those dumb states where you can barely have guns, and they report from other states for ticket stuff. So that was kind of a bummer. And he's like, oh, that does stink. He's like, well, I can't do a seatbelt because obviously there's no seatbelts on a motorcycle. I said, that's true. What about no helmet? And he's like, yeah, that's like a $25 ticket though, and the no seatbelt one's only 10. But they're both a non-moving violation, so no points on your license because Illinois doesn't have a helmet law, so it wouldn't even translate. So that's perfect. So I get a $25 ticket, and the ticket says for improper headgear. So for those of you who make fun of my mohawk all the time, I now basically got a ticket from the fashion police. Yeah, I'm really racing. That's hysterical. So, fashion police ticket. Basically, improper headgear with my mohawk. So, there you go. That's my story about the headgear. Got my ticket for riding a motorcycle. Riding a motorcycle without proper headgear. Unapproved headgear. Or something like that. It was pretty funny. And since my mohawk is either loved or hated, and mostly hated by the internet and the universe, so there you go. Fashion police ticket. That's pretty much what it was. The cop was entirely reasonable. And then as I'm getting back on my bike to leave, he's taking pictures of me with my phone, with his phone. He's got his iPhone out, and he's snapping pictures of me on the bike, which was hilarious. He's got a big grin on his face. Nicest guy ever. Completely reasonable. And I did slow down. And he's like, look, I totally get why you're doing that. But it is deer season. A lot of deer out. And it is getting to be near sunset. So just slow it down a little bit. All right. I appreciate that. And so I did. And that's always scary when I do that. Every time I get pulled over for that, and the cop asks me to slow down, what ends up happening is everybody starts passing me like crazy, sucking my headlights out and changing lanes at the last minute, and I'm like, this isn't safe. If somebody's going to be speeding and not paying attention, and they're going to hit me. So I'm like glued to my rearview mirror, which means I'm distracted from watching the road in front of me. I'm like, no, cop is incorrect. I'm going to go back to going 10 over so that I'm slightly passing everybody. Kind of like this. Because better to speed and get there in one piece. And I have been pulled over 3 times and had 1 ticket already. And it's just straight up profiling. Like there's no other way to put it. It's just profiling.